Hi folks, this is Vicky at patternprincess.com. Today I wanted to show you how to finish off your crochet work. When you get all of your crochet project done, you really don't want it to unravel. And there's just a few steps that is required to finish it off. And I'm going to quickly go through them here. First of all, you can see I have left a long tail. I've cut off about a 12-inch tail of thread. When I start my crochet projects, I also start with a longer tail on the end, just because it's easier to weave in, and I can snip off any excess with with the scissors. So this was my last stitch that I did right here. I'm going to insert my hook again, and I'm just going to yarn over and bring that yarn through that last stitch. And if you wanted to, you could make this last stitch bigger and not even use your hook and just use your fingers. But once you get that started through, you just draw that long tail through. And then you just snug this up a little bit. That'll snug up that last stitch. Because normally when you pull on a yarn, you can easily, part of the reason I like crochet is when you goof up, you can pull on the yarn and rip it all out. So this will secure it. Well, it will not rip out. Just like when you have your starting crochet, this will not rip out when you tug on it. So we're going to use a tapestry needle, it's called, or just a yarn needle. And I have mine in my little plastic container here that I usually have on the side of my couch in a basket. And then the only other thing I need is a pair of scissors. There's two kinds of tapestry needles that I'm familiar with, and these are both metal. You can get them in plastic, but this is just a straight tip, and this one has a bent tip. This pink one has a bent tip. Some people prefer this so that they don't have to use more of your wrist action. If they have sore wrists, this will help you get under the stitches better. So I generally don't use this one, but I still have it in my collection in case I need it. And so this is normally the one that I use right here on all of my projects. So even if I've had chunky yarn in here. Most yarn, even if it's chunky, you can kind of go with the fibers here. And if you kind of twist it a little bit and then squish it between your fingers, give it some twist, squish it, it makes it nice and thin. And then you can thread your needle. They're really easy. And like I said, I have done this with chunky yarn. So, all right, so now my needle is threaded. So we're going to turn our work to the back. And on this one, because I did single crochet back and forth, it's kind of hard to tell if there's a front or a back. If you had a star stitch or something like that, you could certainly tell where the back was. But all we're going to do is, so right here's my last stitch. And so I don't go right into that last stitch because I don't want to reverse with the locking little slip stitch that we just did there. So I generally start like right here, just the bottom stitch, and work in the back loops. Go across a couple here. We go across in the back, I don't know, about an inch worth, and we're going to bring our yarn through. All right, and I don't pull it too tight, because then I could have pulled that corner really tight, and then all of a sudden you'd have an indentation in that corner. It wouldn't look very nice. Now I'll go back in that same row, but you can't go back right where you just came out, or you'll pull it all back out. So you go over one stitch, and then you work back underneath the stitches. And if you use a couple different colors of a yarn in a project, I always weave through in the same color. And so now I could go back, I could skip a stitch and go back through right where I went, but I think I'm going to go down a stitch. And I just like to weave it back and forth. So now it's like it's been back and forth. I've gone down. Now I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over this way. I think I'll go under these, under this, pick up two more, bring it through, skip that first little loop so I don't pull my work back out that I just did, go back through, and I'm probably going to go right back up to that initial one that I was in, but I'm going to go through the back stitch right here to get there. There we go. I'm going to go vertical, and then we're going to go right through this stitch here. And this was the first stitches that we started with. So now it'll be kind of snug when I put my hook in there, or my needle. And so that's kind of, it's going to finish it off nicely. And there are some crocheters that I've heard that they like to do, like it's a rule of 3. They go back and forth, or at least weave it in 3 times. I kind of like to weave it until I feel that there's a little bit snug, and then I'll snip it off. And here we go. This is snipped off, that yarn end is weaved in, and all I would have to do is my bottom one. But that's all that there is to weaving in your yarn and finishing off your project. And it gives it a really nice finish. I bring it to the front, and you can't tell where I, once I weaved in this, you couldn't really tell where I started and stopped on this crochet project. So I hope that you finish off your crochet projects and have beautiful results. And thank you for watching. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe.